did not quite work. So Isaiah 43, verses 1 through 7. But now, thus says the Lord, He who created you, O Jacob, He who formed you, O Israel, do not fear, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name, you are mine. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers they shall not overwhelm you. And when you walk through the fire, you shall not be burned, and the flame shall not be consumed, or shall not consume you. For I am the Lord your God, the Holy One of Israel, your Savior. I give Egypt as your ransom, Ethiopia and Seba in exchange for you, because you are precious in my sight and honored, and I love you. I give people in return for you, nations in exchange for your life. Do not fear, for I am with you. I will bring your offspring from the east, and from the west I will gather you. I will say to the north, give them up, and to the south, do not withhold. Bring my sons from far away, and my daughters from the ends of the earth, and everyone who is called by my name, whom I created for my glory, whom I formed and made. Thus ends our inspired readings this morning. Amen. I'd like to invite Jennifer to come forward, and she will be offering our sermon this morning. And her sermon title is God's Plan. Jennifer, I would just ask that we finish maybe about 5 minutes till noon.
Okay.
Start waving my hands.
What time is it? There you go. You've got a big clock right here.
Yeah. And I brought my book. These are pictures I want to share with everybody. So and we'll talk about that. Hey. So I'm just going to kind of read through today's more of a testimonial, and Sarah and I talked about that. So thank you for giving me the time today. And then there'll be another song we play after, and that CD is so special to me. So, and maybe I'll just let you guys all know about it if you want to ever download it from iTunes or app. I mean, it's one you should listen to from the beginning to the end. And those songs are really difficult to listen to because of the emotion at that time. But then after it's been 13 years next month since he left us, and I try to listen to the words, and they're beautiful. So like Sarah said, this is God's Path, and the New King James Version. I did a few versions of Proverbs 16:9. And I paraphrase it for a woman because I am a woman. A woman's heart plans her way, but the Lord directs her steps. The New International Version says, in the hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. The Contemporary is actually my favorite. We make our own paths, but the Lord decides where we will go. That was really good. On Sunday morning, February 16th, 1997, I was 13 years old, and I was traveling with my soccer teammates and her dad to play the final games for the state cup. On our way, we were unexpectedly rear-ended by a drunk driver on the 215 freeway, right over here. The drunk driver, he was partying all night in Tijuana, and he was passing people on the shoulder because he was late getting his girlfriend to jail for parole. Good reason to hit us. So he hit us traveling 100 miles an hour, and we swerved to the right. Our transmission fell out of our car, and we went underneath the Ethernet overpass right over here, and up the side of the northbound on-ramp, and we were catapulted us 100 feet, landed in the field. We rolled front to back 3 times, and I was ejected with the back seat because I was buckled in, because everyone asks me if I was buckled or not. I 3% out of 100 that actually is buckled in and ejected. The statistics, yeah. So wear your seatbelts. And I landed 15 feet from the car. So at some point in the wreck, I fractured my lower lumbar spine, sustained an orbital fracture around my left eye from hitting the ground, is what they suspect. Cuts and bruises from the ejection, and scrapes of glass on my legs and my back. They airlifted me to Loma Linda Hospital, and I was in and out of surgeries that first week, but they kept me medically sedated to try and stop the bleeding and swelling in my brain. So my parents were offered a room at the Ronald McDonald House so they could sleep nearby, and given something as simple as a toothbrush or toothpaste and a place to lay their heads, because and there was a phone in the room that was connected to ICU, so when I woke up they could be there for me in a heartbeat. Luckily, I did wake up and I asked for my mommy and daddy. Miraculously, the swelling in my brain started to go down, and they transitioned me out of ICU, and the following week I started physical therapy. My first memory is painting by number, and not in my recovery room, and not being able to completely understand what had happened to me. I have no memory of the car accident or the impact. A good thing. I went home 2.5 weeks later. I tried to stay as normal as possible, and my parents allowed me to resume my life the best way I could as I recovered. I had stitches removed from my eye, my left eye. I have a plate in my eye. I wore a back brace for 9 months. I have rods in my back on the surgery. And I went through a few migraine episodes, but not many, so that's really good. I felt as though I lost many friends. I had a difficult time navigating through the 8th grade, but I maintained a high grade point average, and even through high school, and I played several sports, including soccer again, 4 years of ASB, and I graduated senior class vice president. So, just a few little things as a kid. My daughter's not here, and she's in high school, and she's sick today, so we let her stay home. I was like, go see Danny's. I did something in high school.
She can watch the video.
That's okay. Yeah. Yes. I overcame the odds of the doctor's reports, not knowing how my brain would heal, and if I would ever be able to have kids from my back surgery. Trying to understand why this happened to me has been a very difficult part of my life. I was an innocent victim of a drunk driver, and I will have issues down the road as a result of it, medically. Over time, I'm grateful to still be alive. I decided to give back, and I joined TIP, which is a trauma intervention program in high school, and I became a first responder to provide emotional first aid for families while their loved ones are in an accident or suffering a loss. I did show up to a suicide before the coroner got there to provide emotional first aid. Then I went off to Rhema Bible Training Center for college for 2 years, just a ministry training program, and to try to build a better relationship with the Lord. There I unexpectedly met my amazing husband, Sean, and we moved back together, engaged. I became the statistic of Rhema Bridal Training Center, but Sean didn't go to the school. That's kind of funny. So we wanted to start our lives and in my hometown. So we got married in 2004. We had our daughter and bought our first house in 2005. And my dream job in June of 2006. And life seemed to be going really well for us. So on the New International Version, they're all pretty much the same on this verse, so I just kind of stuck with it. And Romans 8:28. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those that love him and have been called according to his purpose. So this is another kind of God's path. On October 21st, 2006, I got a phone call at 4 a.m. My mom is screaming on the other line, "Not again, not again." My older brother, Jacob, was in a severe car accident and was airlifted to Escondido Hospital. Being on the other side of this accident, I saw what it was like to watch your loved one in a hospital bed. But this time, he never woke up. We spent 24 hours crying, praying, singing, and in disbelief that what the doctors told us in the beginning was true. He had no brain function, and there was a 99% chance that he would die that day. So, a week after, my dad had been scheduled, months prior, he'd been scheduled to speak at Ponte Winery in honor of the Ronald McDonald House. And to share the story of how I survived and how vital this place to rest their heads was during my recovery. When you get that phone call, you leave with nothing but the shirt on your back, not knowing what to expect. You don't bring anything with you. So my dad had just signed the papers to have my brother cremated. The last thing he wanted to do was stand up and speak. He didn't want to see a soul. That was it. Last minute, he went, and we all went with him to support him. So he started sharing this amazing story about how wonderful the Ronald McDonald House was for our family. And then he told the story of how lightning struck our family twice, and his firstborn and only son went on to be with the Lord. The next thing he said was unexpected. We need to build a Ronald McDonald House in Temecula. And my dad was a city manager at the time and worked for the city for, I think, 15 years at that point. He was really passionate about the city of Temecula. So someone in the crowd heard my dad speak, and a week later came to my dad to help build that dream. But at the time, the Ronald McDonald House wouldn't come to Temecula because they have a very specific mission to be connected with a children's hospital. So someone in the city council he came to my dad and said that they had an idea, that they wanted to build our own house and have it meet the needs of all ages. And so they said, oh, and one more thing. We want to call it Jacob's House. So from that start to that dream in 2006, we humbly opened our doors 7 years later in June of 2013. We have been serving families ever since. We have helped over 800 guests from 39 states and 10 countries. In closing, it's not going to be that long, but as much as we try to plan our lives and tell God how we want things to go, I thought Proverbs 3:5, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not in your own understanding.
I'm not.
In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he will make your paths straight.
Amen.
Thank you.
So, oh my goodness, it is 5 minutes till noon. These membership Sundays, they go beyond just another sermon. This is exactly my point of these membership Sundays, so that we can have a better understanding of who it is that we're going to church with. I've been part of churches where I have sat for a year in the pews and thought I have no idea other than this person's name, who they are, and what they've gone through. And my hope is that as we form a community that we say, that's not enough. It's not enough to just say, I know your name. I know you're here. I also want us to know each other's stories as well, and who it is that you're coming to church with every Sunday. So Jennifer, thank you for gifting us with that this morning. Thank you. And so heartfelt. I think everyone here is connected to you right now.